Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell, and today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who is trying to figure out if it's exciting or just red flags. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning.
That is the crux of it, isn't it?
It really is.
Is this fun or dangerous?
Exactly. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners, but I think both of us have been love bombed before, so.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm sure I've done love bombing. Yeah, maybe shouldn't. I'm trying to figure out if I have or not. Maybe just like I had terrible boundaries, which bled into oversharing and overcompensating with compliments.
Yeah. Love that.
Anyway,
so many compliments.
This is all to say, Sam and I are not professionals, so please take our advice as you see fit in your life as a supplement to your professional resources. We are only here to offer our humble musings, so hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. Okay, so today's check-in topic before we get into the letter is sort of inspired by the letter, but mostly just from some musing that I was doing this morning. I was like getting ready for recording. If you're watching the YouTube video, I don't look like that ready, so like take that with a grain of salt. Like today is a glasses day, not like a contacts day. But anyway,
I brushed my hair before I got on camera, so.
I brush my teeth, but it's like not like you can.
Well, here's the thing is that I brush my teeth before we record every time now because of that one letter we got from that person who was like, I think it's disgusting that my boyfriend doesn't brush his teeth immediately when he breaks up. Oh. And that's what I think about every time I start recording without brushing my teeth.
That's funny because you said he doesn't brush his teeth every time he breaks up, which was subliminal messaging by you.
Oh, every time he wakes up.
There we go. Anyway, so I was getting ready. And I was thinking about today's episode and I was like putting on makeup and, my daughter, my almost 2-year-old child had her first like stomach bug last night. So I've been awake for a super long time and I've washed multiple rounds of vomit off of a small creature, so it's like not my best morning. And I'm like trying to like make myself look somewhat professional. And I was thinking about how, at one point in my relationship with my wife, I would wake up and I'd like run to the bathroom and like wash my face or like make sure that I didn't have like a drool line down my face or if I knew I was going to see her that day, I might like put makeup on or like get dressed nicely or whatever. And it made me think about like those firsts in relationships, not like first kiss, but like maybe the first time that you sleep over. And in my case, I'm a makeup wearer. You don't put makeup on, or you let them see your like, polished self, both physically and maybe emotionally, like the first time that you sort of hang out with somebody that you're seeing and put your guard down and aren't trying as hard as you do in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Can you phrase that better, or like am I covering it? Just like
I think you're covering it. Yeah,
the general the first times in your relationship that you start to take down some of the masks, take down some of the barriers, and start showing up as your like most authentic self. You might be authentic like on your date, but like when the layers come off, so to speak. I'm thinking about makeup specifically, but not everybody wears makeup. But I know we all kind of put these masks on in a way.
Yeah.
Any thoughts
I can't
about
believe that you would wake up and wash your face and then get back into bed.
No, I mean, not like...
It's like, it's giving like Marvelous Miss Maisel in like the first season.
I was literally just going to say that. It's not like the housewife who like pretends to go to sleep with a full face of makeup and then like covers her face with cold cream after her husband goes to bed. It wasn't like that. It was just like, I don't know. I know folks out there who maybe
The fact that you said it, I'm like, oh, of course people do this. Like, it's like so outside of my own experience, but like, yes, of course
and
people
honestly,
do this.
when I was thinking about this check-in topic, I was like, I wonder what Sam's going to say, because like you don't wear makeup regularly, or like the way you wake up in the morning looks like maybe 15% different than you going to work. You know what I mean? Like you look very the same. So I don't know. Do you have like a version of this, or can you think of how this shows up in your relationships in the past?
Yeah. I mean, my family is a family that like always wears clothes. Like we don't wear like sweatpants, or like, I once tried to wear pajama pants to a movie and my mother was like, absolutely not. You cannot do that. And I was like, why not? And she was like, because people know that you're my child and I don't want them to think that I sent you out in pajama pants.
God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I feel like you're going to have to that's so unnecessarily cutting. No wonder you have anxiety. Like,
oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I feel like you need to do some inner child healing and go to the movies in some like plaid pants.
So I wear like
clothing,
hard
real
clothes
clothing.
all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't think I've ever seen you in pajamas.
I mean, you've seen me in sweatpants for sure, because like I know you, and like you've like stayed over at my house, you know?
We shared a hotel room.
It's like that's okay, but like I think me like waking up and not getting back dressed is like a thing. Like the idea that we would like spend time together and I would be in like gym shorts or like sweatpants, like that would be like a me like letting you in because of my like deep-seated understanding of the fact that we should all be wearing clothes all the time.
Yes.
Does it now make sense why I made that comment about the airport the last time we traveled?
No.
The one where I was like, why is everyone wearing yoga pants on this airplane? It's like everyone's cosplaying to be like a yoga teacher.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm wearing yoga pants.
Yeah, I know. And I was like,
we're like
do you understand now?
At an airport.
Do you understand now why?
Yeah, but just
like,
times have
wear
changed.
Pants?
All right, boomer. Like times have like the yoga pant argument was like 30 years old at this point. Like,
I know. My also thing is also like people just like wearing like camping gear to go on an airplane, and I'm like, why are you wearing?
But what is
fully
camping
synthetic
gear to you? We're getting off topic here, but like it's just like a sweatshirt. You know what I mean? Like what's the difference?
Like fully synthetic, like tapered pants. I'm like, are you going on a hike? I don't understand.
I mentioned the YouTube earlier, y'all. Now, like, y'all, this is the time to subscribe so you can see all the judgment on Sam's face. Anyway, yeah, and the funny thing is I was wearing yoga pants and an LL Bean sweatshirt. So I was like fully cosplaying as the thing Sam was terrified and offended by. Anyway, that's endearing. That's a good one. I think mine is like, I hate to say makeup because I'm not actually a huge makeup wearer. Like I don't wear a lot, but I wear it almost every day. Because I feel like, I'm sure this is like some distant cousin of some body image thing or like a body perception thing, but I feel like I look so different without makeup on. So I feel like there's a big difference between me like put together and me as is. However, I will say, I think I cared a lot more about that when I was younger. Or when I was with shittier partners, you know, like when I was with people that I subconsciously didn't feel emotionally safe with. I don't think I revealed that, like, yeah, but it will, it's not like I wouldn't let my partners or like, it's not like I didn't let my wife see me without makeup on. It's that I still put it on almost every day. Like I put it on to go to the grocery store. Like that's fucked up. Who am I being, who do I think I owe prettiness to, you know? But that's another check-in topic. What about like, I'm trying to think of an example of like emotionally, like an emotional first, in that way. I think, I can't think of a specific example of this, but I know for a fact that I remember the first time that like I realized that I was being protective of myself in my relationship with my now wife, in which I was reacting out of a subconscious fear that she was going to think I wasn't good enough. And so I was being reactionary and defensive, even though she was probably like approaching me with something that's totally reasonable, because it's reasonable to like disappoint someone and them not leave you. You know what I mean? And I don't remember the specifics of this, but I do remember being like, oh my God, she's telling me right now that it's okay that I messed up, or it's okay that we're having this conflict and she's not going anywhere. And I felt really embarrassed and really humbled, but also really touched at the same time. And all of a sudden you're like, I have to choose to like approach this relationship fully and not with my defenses up, I think. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I think my thing is like letting people do kind things for me, like helping me out in some way. Because I like don't do that. Don't ask for things. And so like I think that's always like a marker of a relationship being strong, when I like can like ask somebody for something and not feel bad about it, or like feel guilty for having asked. Like a ride to the airport or whatever, or like, can you watch my cats? Right? Like that sort of like that's always a milestone for me, when I'm actually like, okay, I can ask this person, and like, I don't know what I'm afraid of. They're going to judge me, or they're going to think I'm a burden, or like they're going to think that I can't take care of myself or whatever.
That makes so much sense. That is like so clearly your wound.
Me?
Yeah, it just makes so much sense. Yeah.
I also remember the first time that Peter called me on the phone, as opposed to like texting each other back and forth. And I was like,
he's a caller.
What? Yeah. And I was like, what is this man doing? Why is he calling me? And then I was like, Sam, funny. It's fine. Like, you just answer the phone. Like, this is an okay thing that's happening. It was a butt dial. He was not actually calling me. But I like went through a whole emotional regulation for myself. Yeah, and then it was he's not actually calling me. He's just accidentally called. That is so it was like cute. Hearing him like ride his bike or something. So
that's a great example too of like, okay, how are we slowly like peeling away the layers of the onion? You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
The layers in which we use to protect ourselves or distance ourselves from people seeing our true self. A phone call is so for
absolutely
real.
Terrifying. Like, you want to talk to me unexpectedly? No.
And I can't perfectly craft my answer.
Exactly.
Cute. Okay. Well, thanks for getting into that check-in topic with me.
All right. So today's letter comes from Should I Stay or Should I Effin' Go? Whose pronouns are she, her, who's writing from Maine. Here's my deal. I can't tell if I've found the love of my life or an about-to-be obsessive stalker. I, she, her, 27, left a second date, he, him, 35, feeling the most overwhelming crash of emotions. I literally thought, this is the person I will marry. This felt wild. After years of long-term relationships where I saw incompatibilities from the beginning and adopted the whole we can grow together mindset, this right off the bat connection shook me. During the 3rd to 5th dates, he has communicated very openly with me, sharing how he's never felt a connection like this, that he won't be walking away. Is that a weird thing to say? He's attracted to me physically, intellectually, and emotionally, and he sees me as his life partner and a mom of our future kids. Is that weird or sweet? Part of me is like, heck yes, a man who knows what he wants and is future-oriented, a man who has similar life goals to me and likes talking deeply about anything and everything. But here's the thing. It's only been 2 weeks of dating. He told me he deleted dating apps after our second date. He surprise introduced me to his mom and showed up at my place with coffee randomly. He texts me very dramatic compliments multiple times per day. He's made some comments that strike me as slightly alarming, but I'm also wondering if my anxiety brain is assuming the worst. He said, if I were you, I'd use the sweet and innocent outer demeanor to get what I want. Or I use my manipulative powers for good. And this is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. And you are the most emotionally stable person I've ever dated. The comments about manipulation came out of nowhere, and I really don't get them. I'm not judging him for past less than healthy relationships, but I am taken aback that he's making that assessment of us after 2 weeks of going on dates. I just can't figure out what my gut is saying. Am I looking for the worst as a defense against being let down, since I too feel this absolutely overwhelming sense of connection? Am I just not used to being pursued like this, or are these actually red flags? It's even more confusing because I tend to display anxious attachment, but his behavior seems to be bringing out more avoidant traits in me. Ugh, please help.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for writing, for listening, and for trusting us with this letter. I love this letter because I think that I would feel the same way in your position, because I think it can be really confusing to try to like diagnose or assess the difference between genuine interest and what Sam and I recognize as love bombing in this letter, or like could be recognized as that. And it's hard, especially like, you know, it's hard out here trying to find connections, finding people, dating with intention, dating with shared goals. You know, I think if I was in your position, I would not want to be concerned. Like, I would just be like, go ahead, lie to me and abuse me. You know what I mean?
Like, give me all of the attention
Keep telling
for these
me how
next
I could
3
be
weeks.
like a great mother of your children, you know.
For sure.
Because I get it. Like, we want people to be communicative, and we want people to want us madly, and we want them to fall in love with us immediately, because like that's what we're shown from rom-coms and Disney movies. However, there are some red flags in this letter to Sam and I, and we think that you're questioning whether, regardless of the intention of this new person in your life, your questioning of it is, I think, is valid for a couple of reasons, which we'll get into. But first, we're going to take a very quick break.
All right, everyone, welcome back. So before we get into it, we wanted to just define love bombing, because like that, you know, we want to be sure that we're using words clearly and intentionally in the spirit of which they are defined. So love bombing, according to verywellmind.com. So take this definition with a grain of salt, and I think we'll also kind of talk about it a little bit. Love bombing is a tactic in which someone bombs you with extreme displays of affection and attention with the intent to manipulate you. And I think that the question of like with intent to manipulate you is like a little bit of a question mark to me, because that I feel like so much of us talking about tactics that are manipulative like assigns intention to them in ways that I don't think is actually true, right? Like I don't think that this man is like has like a nefarious plot where he's like written down all the steps to like make you feel like trash. You know, like I don't think that is what's happening. And I also think that like people use things like love bombing to get what they want out of people, right?
Yeah,
Not
totally
necessarily
agree.
intentionally, but like, you know, in our most, I think like even in our most like negative portrayal of this person, right? And we're going to talk about whether or not that negative portrayal is right. But like, even in my most negative imaginings of him, I'm not like, oh, he's trying to like get you to like, he's intentionally doing this. I'm like, oh, he's just seeking love in the way that he knows how to, right?
Yes,
like in the ways that he's
exactly.
been taught, or in the ways that have like, he's been rewarded for in the past, right? And like,
Yes.
that's his fault and also not his fault, right? Like, and I want to hold space for empathy around some of this, and also like, I think we need to get out of the pattern of assigning like nefarious planning to people's abusive tactics, because I don't think that's actually how it works. And also, then we don't recognize things that are red flags because we're like, oh, he's not doing it for a bad reason. You know, like he doesn't have like a mastermind plan about this, right?
I
like,
think that's really
doesn't have
important.
to be a plan. It can still also just be not great behavior, you know?
Well, and I think in some of these sort of new phrases that we're seeing a lot in the relationship dating zeitgeist, you know, we assume that they have to be like foolproof, or like they have to be with cruel intentions, like you said. And that does such a disservice, because if we're like, okay, if they're not intentionally manipulating me, then, okay, so it's not love bombing. but it strips us of our intuition, right? It strips us of the nuance of like human experience, where you could just say like, maybe this person that the letter writer is dating is just has unhealthy relationship patterns, is addicted to love, and really wants to find someone because they're craving intimacy. So they're skipping all the steps that actually leads to intimacy, you know?
Yes.
Maybe he has low emotional intelligence and he doesn't realize that this isn't love or whatever. However, that doesn't mean you immediately, just because it's not like capital M manipulation from a narcissist love bombing, doesn't mean you should ignore that little twinge inside you where you're like, wait a minute, after 2 weeks, you know what I mean? 2 weeks.
For sure.
I remember my ex used to say things. I'm recognizing now that I think my ex was a love bomber in the way that you just described, to like get that emotional security, to get that thing in that immediate moment.
I'm glad that you're coming to this realization in this moment, because I was like, oh yeah,
YouTube
years ago.
to look at Sam's coddling judgment face, like, oh babe, you're just realizing that
just in this moment, like 7 years after the fact.
Well, I think about love bombing as something that happens early in the relationship, you know, and he would be, you know, he would cheat on me and then be like, I'm going to marry you, or like, you know, or more importantly, it wasn't, I don't think I ever thought about it as love bombing, because he would make those statements, yes, but he would also just be like, yes, I'm not going to cheat on you again. I can't believe I did that. I love you so much. Like he would fix everything without any follow through. It would just be to get to that thing that he wanted, which was emotional safety and intimacy with me in that very moment, you know?
For sure.
I read something online, because I think why this letter stood out to me is because I'm a sucker and I'm a romantic and I'm codependent and all of these things. So like the letter writer, I'd be like, I'm going to marry this person. And then I would have like red flags come up, and then I'd be like, no, I'm still going to marry him. I'm just going to ignore these. Or I would really hope that those red flags weren't there. And I even asked you, Sam, like before we press record, like what's the difference between love bombing and genuine interest? And I saw something online. It's actually a Reddit comment on a thread that I found really helpful. This Reddit user said, genuine romantic interest might look like someone saying that they feel a strong connection to you. They're really looking forward to get to know you because they enjoy spending time with you. It might look like them initiating dates and hanging out, remembering what you told them, suggesting you do things specific to your interests, and asking you deep questions. Right?
Oof,
beautiful.
That's great.
Love bombing might look like someone telling you that they love you after a couple weeks, that you're their dream person, that they've waited forever to find you, that you're the one they need, wanting you to meet their parents, talking about you moving in early, offering you gifts and doing grand gestures. It's microwaving intimacy because they're acting like you're already much closer than you really are, and like you've built a bond that you haven't yet. This is from S. Smallby Beans. SMOLBI Beans. I just want to give them credit because I thought they did a really good job.
Reddit. Never change. Always be exactly what you are.
Yeah. I love them.
No, absolutely. I think that's a perfect distillation of like the difference between, we have a really strong immediate connection and I want to figure out how to grow that connection versus...
That's real. That happens.
That absolutely. Like, I think that lots of us meet people who we immediately connect with and like are like, even outside of romantic relationships, like I have this with friendships too, where it's like, we have really similar interests. Like, I really want to spend like, do you want to go to this movie with me? You know, like, cool, this is really great. Like, or, you know, we have some sort of thing that we connect on that like, it's just like, I feel like I can tell you more about like all of the stuff that I'm going through, right? Like that's really real. It's just that like love bombing is an attempt to shortcut that the actual work of developing an intimate relationship with somebody and focuses on like the immediate rush of, oh my God, I want to be with you for forever. And I think looking through this example that we have from the letter writer of like, what are some of the red flags in here that tell me that like, this doesn't feel to me like a an attempt to gain intimacy like over time, like this feels like love bombing, are like a couple things, which is like, one, you've been dating for 2 weeks and he's already told you that this is his healthiest relationship that he's ever been in, right? Like, what did your other relationships look like at 2 weeks that were like so unhealthy? And also, like, how can you know how healthy a relationship is after having been on 3 to 5 dates with somebody? Like, the health of a relationship is about like how you manage conflict together, right? The health of a relationship is like, how are you there for each other in times that are hard? And the idea that it's like, oh, this is already so healthy is like, wait a minute, we've shortcutted all of the different markers of understanding how we move through healthy relationships with each other. I also think that like the idea, like the thing that really got me was like, I want to marry you and I want you to have my babies within like the first 2 dates. Like,
Sam is very sensitive to men like tying women down with their bodies. I mean, not like physically tying them down, but like,
yes, absolutely. But like, yes, absolutely. And also like, that is like such an intense, it feels really manipulative to me to say that kind of stuff. And I think it's because I have had people in my life like you and other people where like the second that something goes, like there's a hiccup or like something goes wrong, it's like, no, but I love you and I want to have babies with you. And it's like, oh my God, you want to marry me and I want to have baby. Like, it's a way of off ramping from something that is actually more challenging, right? It's a way of saying like, no, but like imagine our future together. Like I can't wait until we get to this point where everything is perfect. So just ignore what's happening in the present and like let's just live in that future state where we're happy together, we're married, we have each other, we have kids with each other, and so that's also a red flag for me. It's like, why are we talking about some sort of idealized future and not like what's actually happening in this place, in this moment? Like, how are things going for us now? Why are you telling me the exact thing that I want to hear without any of the actual like work that goes into getting to the point where, yes, we want to get married and have children, if that is something that you want to do.
Yeah. And for me, it all comes back to, how about this? Everybody can have different feelings and different sureties and different dreams and communication styles. Meaning I could see that a person without malicious intent and who was like emotionally mature and stable, I can see someone who's not me saying after the second or after 2 weeks saying like, I think you're my person. Like, I want to be with you. You know what I mean? I could see them saying that. And I can see some people being like, that's a red flag. That's love bombing. And I could see me being like, okay, maybe I don't feel like that right now, but I'll get there eventually or whatnot. I think for me, it comes down to obviously like honoring that the person you're seeing has a different grasp of reality than you do, like that they are experiencing the world totally different than you, leaving space for that difference, like that they're going to show up differently than you do. And like always balancing their worldview and their approach to your relationship with things that you know to be true fundamentally, that are important to you, that you value, and that make you feel like sane, you know? And it sounds like, if I'm reading between the lines, to you, it seems a little out there. It seems a little unstable or concerning that he wants to marry you after 2 weeks and have your babies, right? I remember with my ex, like I'm thinking about my ex so much in this episode because like half of the time 90% of the time in that relationship, I felt so batshit crazy because he was saying things that just didn't add up. I wanted to hear them. I wanted them to be true. I wanted them to be acted upon or like, you know, I wanted them to come to fruition. I wanted us to get together and be married. I wanted everything to be okay. I wanted him to stop shortchanging me and cheating on me. But like, I always felt so crazy because his words didn't match my understanding of the world, you know? keeping in mind, I had space for the fact I held space for the fact that people approach the world differently. We all experience reality differently. Like there is space for that. And also, I think that part of you, letter writer, part of you is like, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. And that's making me a little nervous. So more than anything, I just want you to, it is early for like, I'm not sure if this is like the full painting of his true colors yet. But I really just want you to like validate the fact that like some things aren't adding up to you. Maybe that means you stop seeing him immediately. Maybe that means you see where it goes over the next couple of weeks. But if you see where it goes, which I think is totally fine, it's still early. I just want to make sure that you're saying, no, this is real and this is making me feel a little funny. Who knows if things sort of even out, I would say, or like if things just keep getting better in like a consistent follow through way where you're not like, this is questionable, then who knows? Maybe you'll never think about this question that you wrote a podcast ever again. But Sam's pretty convinced this is like straight on love bombing. And I'm over here thinking like, this isn't adding up. The math ain't mathin'. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not to say you can't be somebody's person after 2 weeks, but there's just too many equations here that are adding up. The math is wrong in too many places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this is bad news. Like, I don't think that this, and I think that's just going to lead to a world of heartbreak, because I've seen this play out with people in my life who have been with people who are like, I love you, I want to marry you after the second date, and love bomb, like texting all the time, showing up, doing things, and then suddenly realize that they can't short circuit an emotional connection in the way that they want to.
I love
and
the
then
Reddit
leave.
comment to microwave it. It's like you're
microwave
zapping
it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that it doesn't actually work that way. And so then they go and seek the simplicity of short circuiting a relationship somewhere else, right? Whether that's cheating on you, as Sierra's ex used to do, or like going to being like, oh, actually, I just met this new person and I'm really interested in them, and like I feel really connected to them, and like the same thing. Or there's a person from my past and I want them to come back because I like love them so deeply and I know that I've always loved them, right? Like it's the seeking of the emotional high of this like false sense of connection that like keeps folks doing this, right? And it's tied to their attachment styles, right? It's tied to how they have been given and received love in the past. Like I'm really not trying to present these people as like evil people. And also like this is a pattern that I have seen that only leads to people in their wake being devastated, confused, hurt, because it's like, you told me 2 weeks ago that you wanted to marry me and now you won't respond to my text messages, right? Like it's like, to me, it's like such a clear tactic that I have seen used time and time again with folks to like create false senses of intimacy, and then leave that person in the dust. And that person who's like, I thought we were like, exactly what you said, right? Like I love a person who knows what they want and is like wanting to get there. And it's like, he does know what he wants, but he doesn't know how to get there, right? Like he, for sure, in his head, he wants to be married and have kids with you. And he doesn't know what the steps to get to that end state is. All he knows is that he wants to be able to jump from, I just met you, to we're married and have kids. And then when that part gets hard, I don't think that he will stick around for it, because that's the vulnerability that folks who love bomb are lacking, right? They don't know how to tap into the vulnerability of like being in it when things are difficult or challenging or not perfect. And that's what they're seeking, is like a perfect end state that they don't have to do any work to actually get to.
Yeah, that's so true. I also want to like note one other like component of all of this. I do think that the letter writer was like right to say, you know, is this clinginess, or is this forwardness and fast-paced potential love bombing bringing out my avoidant attachments? You know, is this bringing out more avoidant behaviors in me? Are you pulling away because they're zooming in, you know? And that makes the situation that much more hard to discern, like, what is actually going on here. I think let's drop all the labels. Let's not pathologize any of this and just say, does it make you uncomfortable that he wants to marry you after 2 weeks? That's not you pulling away. That's not your attachment style showing up. That's not a response. That's your intuition, right? That's it. If we take away, I think labels are so empowering because they give us, you know, they give us language we might not have had before. I think they allow us to point to things so that other people understand more about us. Like, this is where I am. This is who I am, yada, yada. I'm all about that. You know me. I love attachment style theory, whatever. In this situation, let's just not think about that. Let's not think about any of what this is. It's, do you like this behavior? Do you feel like the math is mathing? Are you feeling like he can back up all the things that he's saying? Do you feel emotionally safe with him?
For
right?
sure.
And that's what's worth exploring right now and putting weight behind.
For sure. And also running away. Blocking this person.
Yeah.
Please, if you end up married, send us a letter and tell me how wrong I was.
Yeah.
I would love it.
All right, my darling. We love you. Thank you for writing, and we hope this helps.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode, as well as access to our office hours, which happen monthly. It's when Sierra and I hop on Zoom and talk to you all, answer questions, just have a great conversation. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need 2 random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original recording, producing all magical things from our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcast and music. And remember, it's okay to be confused. It's okay to want things to not be true or to want things to be more black and white. But we can lean into that intuition, lean into the nuance, support our own feelings, and reinforce our own realities. All of us can lean a little bit deeper into our own intuition. And if all else fails,
just break up.